Desserts Made Simple by Mary June Smith, 2018. All rights reserved by Mary June Smith. Narrated by Rhonda Wright and Jason Hill. Chapter 1.
Cakes. Cake is classed with candy as a luxury for occasional rather than daily use. Expensive materials enter into the composition of cake, and unless these are improved by the combination, it were better to eat them as they are than to waste time and effort in combining them. The two things essential to success in cake making are the mixing of the materials and the baking of the mixture. One may learn to mix cakes in an hour, but skill in baking cake comes only from considerable experience, yet most housekeepers learn to bake cake before attempting many less difficult matters. Two varieties of cake are recognized: sponge cake, made without shortening, and cup cake, made with shortening. A perfect sponge cake should be slightly moist, very tender, and filled with minute bubbles of uniform size. Potato flour, usually sold in pound packages, fine granulated sugar, a clean fresh lemon, and fresh laid eggs are the ingredients necessary for the choicest sponge cake. Potato flour thickens more than wheat flour, and only half the quantity designated for wheat flour is required. It makes an exceedingly delicate and tender cake. A sponge cake when baked should never be brown, but of a pale yellow color both without and within. In mixing a shortened cake, the creaming of the shortening is the first step in the process, and also the most important. The thorough beating of the mixture after the addition of all the ingredients but the egg whites, and a short beating after the addition of the whites, gives a fine-grained cake. If pastry flour be not at hand, bread flour may be used in cake making by removing 1 level tablespoonful from each cupful of flour called for in the recipe. The whys in cake making. 1. Why should all the ingredients and utensils to be used be assembled before beginning to mix a cake? Answer. For best results, the mixing of the batter should be a continuous process, and it should be baked immediately after the addition of the flour and leavening agents. 2. Why cream the Crisco first instead of creaming Crisco and sugar together? Answer. If both saves time and is easier, requires less effort, to cream the shortening first and then gradually cream the sugar into it. 3. In cold weather, why rinse the mixing bowl in warm water or leave the Crisco in the room a short time before trying to cream it? Answer. Crisco, as all shortening, is put into a smooth, creamy condition most easily when it is about the temperature of the living room, or 68 degrees Fahrenheit. 4. For what reason do we use an earthen bowl and a slitted wooden spoon for beating sugar into shortening? Answer. A metal bowl or spoon will discolor the sugar and shortening. Also, a slitted spoon, by presenting more surface than a solid spoon, makes the work easier. 5. Why use pastry flour for cake? Answer. Cake is a luxury and should be of as delicate a texture as possible. The flour is used to hold together richer articles, and flour with little body or substance is desirable. 6. Why use Crisco as shortening in cake? Answer. Crisco gives a very white cake of the same texture as when butter is used, at half the expense. 7. Why use fine granulated sugar in cake mixtures? Answer. Fine granulated sugar makes the best cake. Coarse granulated sugar gives a coarse grained cake, powdered sugar a dry cake. 8. Why beat the yolks and whites of eggs for cake separately? Answer. Whites and yolks of eggs may be beaten lighter if beaten separately. A cake should be light that the digestive juices may penetrate it readily. 9. Why beat a cake mixture, lightened with baking powder or cream of tartar and soda, after the addition of the stiff beaten egg whites? Answer. If the egg whites were folded into a shortened cake mixture, the cake would in spots be too porous and dry. Beaten in thoroughly, the finished product is uniformly fine-grained and tender throughout. Beating is the last motion given to a shortened cake mixture. 10. Why should no
Sample complete. Ready to continue?